What's going on, LEC community? I'm Sebastian, and we're back here today with another Latinx Educator Award nominee spotlight interview. And for today's interview, we have a nominee that was nominated for the Educator of the Year, Mrs. Catalina Alfaro.
Yay, that's me.
So yeah, like I said before, Catalina was nominated for Educator of the Year. So we're just going to learn a little bit more about her journey, and her story, but just answering some questions. So with the first one out of the way, tell us about you, your story, and your journey.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor, to be honest. I was really surprised about this nomination, but to be honest, I'm very happy about it. So, yes, my name is Catalina. I'm from Costa Rica. I have been teaching for 23 years. My first 22 years teach elementary school and pretty much preschool, and this is my first year teaching high school, and I love it. I love it so much. And I moved to the United States 7 years ago, so I'm still kind of in the middle, brand new, not so new. I'm still learning a lot of stuff, but very amazing things are happening right now in my life. Yeah.
That's so good to hear. Tell us more about that transition. I feel like that's a really kind of big transition to go from elementary education right into high school education. How was that?
Well, it was something that I don't plan at all. Just one day was on my computer, and this pop up in my computer, and I read about the how you say that the description of the job, and I said, this sounds very interesting, because my classes are for heritage people, so that means my students already speak, learn, and read Spanish. So I don't need to teach them Spanish. They know already Spanish. So my class is more into grammar, literacy, and everything in Spanish. And that sounds something fun. That sounds like me. So I just applied for the job. I go to the interview, and I did all the process, and here I am right now teaching in high school. Yeah.
Is it? Would you? I don't want to say prefer. I feel like that's a little mean, but it's like, do you? I mean, do you like
It's
it?
two different words. It's totally
I can
two different
imagine
words.
so.
I love my little kids. They are full of love, full of energy. They have so much to give you every single day. Teenagers, they are different. They are more quiet. They are more, teenagers being teenagers. But I have to say, the group that I teach freshmen and sophomores. They are so well behaved, very polite. And one of the things that I love the most is we are all we are into the Latino culture. So we feel like home, because we speak Spanish all the time, and we talk about our culture all the time. So it's been a joy. I describe it. I feel like home when I with them in my class.
Oh, that's so nice. And what class do you teach? You said it was
Freshmen and sophomores.
Oh, I mean, like the subject, casi como.
Oh, heritage speakers.
Oh,
Heritage
okay.
speakers. So all of them speak Spanish, write in Spanish, read in Spanish. So we are more into the grammar, literacy, culture things. So I don't need to be in charge to teach them the language, because they already know the language. So it's more like the Spanish that we learn when we are in our countries, like when I was in Costa Rica. So yeah, it's different, and I like better, because it's very hard to teach a language. It's very hard.
Very hard to teach and very hard to learn a language.
Yeah,
That's
well,
something. Yeah.
yeah. That's another thing about myself. When I moved here, the only English that I know was the English that you learn when you are in high school. Like colors and the days of the week, and that's it. So it's been part of my journey, still learning English and everything.
Mm. Well, well, I'm glad that you are in the position that you are now. It seems like it's been one crazy journey, it sounds like. But getting into the nomination of Educator of the Year, how do you feel about being nominated? What does that feel like?
Well, it was a big surprise, first thing. Of course, I feel very honored. And I feel at the same time a big responsibility for this, because if someone nominate you, it's because this person or these people are watching you. What are you doing? So it looks like you are a role model for that person. So it's a big responsibility. But at the same time, as I tell you, I feel honored, humble, and and agradecida, grateful. Yeah, very grateful for that.
Qué bueno. So with with your class, right? As a Latina teacher, Latinx teacher, why do you feel that representation matters in the classroom?
Yeah, it matters a lot, because I talk with my students all the time how the immigrants, we have more immigrants every year, especially here in the United States. But this is something that happened not only here in the United States. The Latino people is moving around the world right now. And actually, we have been learning about how the idioma español is the second language around the world. And even here in the United States, it's going to be around en el 2060, por ahí, it's going to be the second language. So our representation as Latinos is very important. And we need to be proud of our culture, and we need to be proud of our roots, our heritage, and be more loud, so open more about us and how we can impact other people with our culture. So I think our representation is very important. And one of the things that I love about my students, I feel that they are very proud to be Latin. And I try to, encourage them more and more every day to be very proud, and let them know that they have like a superpower, because they have, two hearts, two brains, two about everything, two cultures and more, because now we are multicultural, not only the Latino, and even though in the Latino area is people from Mexico, from Costa Rica, from Nicaragua, and everybody is different, we have some things that we are common things, but also as well some algunas costumbres and cosas diferentes. So it's very rich. I like that a lot.
Has there ever been a time where there was a student who didn't feel proudful, or they just weren't proudful yet? And there's like, how did you get that out of them? How did you make them feel that pride, that sense of pride?
Oh, they talk a lot about that. And I ask a lot of questions all the time. And I try to use a lot of Latino resources when we are in my classroom, since music, movies, books, all related with our culture. So I like to talk with them. Sometimes we have like little meetings and everything, and they share about their thoughts and su cultura en su casa and all that stuff. We talk about food, music, all that stuff. So I can see in their faces that they are very proud. And one nice thing about my school is, let me tell you, maybe 90% of the population in my school are Latino. So we have a big representation. Yes. Yeah, that's very nice.
And does that reflect too into the maestros, like the teachers and stuff?
Well, I think I am the only 100%, maybe me and another coworker. But we have a lot of people who speak Spanish in the building. So yes, so everybody's into it, the Latino thing. Yes.
And so with that, right, having those resources and kind of providing them those textbooks and like movies and culture for them to feel proud about their heritage, the traditions, everything like that. What else can we do to build the right conditions for the advancement of like the Latinx youth?
I think we need to encourage the kids to talk more about their culture. because some of them are still very shy, or maybe they don't want to talk about that. And I don't know, but we need to build relationships with the kids and build opportunities for them to talk about their culture in every aspect of their life. Sometimes it don't have to be something really like estructurado. Sometimes it could be like a simple conversation when they are in lunchtime, when advisory time or some recess. But we need to encourage the kids to talk more about their culture. And some of them doesn't know anything. The only thing that they know that they speak Spanish, but they don't know about where their family coming from, why we do this, why we do that this way. Mm-hmm. So this is one of the things that I like to share with them when we talk about culture. So for example, in Christmas time, we talk about how Latino people celebrate Christmas around the world. So we learn about how people celebrate Christmas in Mexico, in Costa Rica, in different countries, because sometimes we only know what we do in our house, and that's it. We don't know nothing else. And we are surrounded friends and everything, but we don't talk about that. So I try to encourage the kids to learn more about all the Latino areas, not only the things that they know when they are at home.
No, I think that's very important. So, I mean, obviously, I was a student here in the U.S., and I only really knew about my culture and my kind of just what was in my house. So, parte Mexicano and Guatemalteco, so I'm Mexican and Guatemalan, and I only really knew what those two cultures kind of combined and mixed. Where I really didn't know much about El Salvador or Ecuador or any other like Central or Southern Latin America. And so it was very eye-opening to me when I went into like college and I started meeting all these new people and new cultures and kind of just talking about traditions like that. So I think it is something very important that we do need to incorporate more into.
And the kids enjoy a lot that. They enjoy a lot. And sometimes they are surprised, like, oh, really? You do that? Oh, I don't know. I didn't know about that, all that stuff. And for me, it's being very educational as well, because I have to do a lot of research. And of course, I talk a lot about Costa Rica because that's my expertise. But I try to go forward. So I trying to do research about different countries. And even though when we use resources, like when we're reading things, so one day we read a story from El Salvador, and another day we read a story from Colombia. So I try to combine different things so that way the kids learn about a little bit about everything, and they enjoyed that a lot as well. Mm-hmm. And it's fun because sometimes I use words or examples, and they teach me as well. Oh, en El Salvador decimos de tal forma o hacemos tal otra. So, I didn't know about that. Thank you for letting me know. So I think everybody in the classroom learn.
Yeah, it just kind of shares, and I think it's really good to build that community, and that leads right back into the representation that we need for these students. With all of that going on, I know it can be exhausting. I know it can be tiring, but what keeps you going in school, or just in general? What keeps you going?
And 100% of my students are the reason. I think the reason that's my thought, that the reason for each teacher is their students. So when I have a bad day, I think about my students, and sometimes when I do in my lesson plans, I try and imagine how my students are going to react to certain activity or something. So the thing that keeps me going is always my students. And of course, the academic part is very important, but for me, is the number 2 thing in education. For me, build relationships with the students, learn about them, try to help them to improve in their life, do at least a little bit impact in their life. I think that's the joy for every single teacher, because you can see the difference in the beginning of the school year and at the end of the school year, and you can see how they grow. And it feel wonderful when the students come to you and say, thank you for teaching me this. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for being by my side, all that stuff. To me, that's heaven. Because I think that's my joy as a teacher. Of course, as I tell you, the academic part is important, but for me, the little seed that can plant on them and their life to be a better person, to me es la raíz de ser educador. Es lo máximo. Sí.
That's so sweet. That's nice. Bueno, pues before we wrap up the interview, is there anything else you would like to mention to the LEC community before we leave?
Well, first thing, thank you so much again for having me for this nomination. And I think my message for everybody is trying to be a better person, and for the teachers as well is be there with with your students. Take time for listening to your students. Take time for think about their needs, what they need. Sometimes we don't know what's going on in their houses. Sometimes we don't know any circumstance or something happened in their lives. So sometimes it's more easy to judge the kids without knowing what's going on. So take time for listening to your kids. Take time for be for them by side. And I truly believe a teacher can do a big impact in their students' life. Yes.
Thank you for that. I think it's very, very important for that. But thank you once again for being here to be interviewed. Congratulations on being nominated.
Thank you.
Best of wishes and best of luck. I can tell you're excited. I can feel the energy from the other side of the screen. And, best of luck to you. So feel free to watch the rest of the LEC. We have more nominee videos coming up. So yeah, for right now, this is goodbye.
Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you so much.
You. Bye.
It was like us into the blade. We're sitting there like in the arena in Las Vegas.
When I started this LEC community,